Welcome to InsideTry.com. We're here at Flatirons Athletic Club in Boulder, Colorado. Dave Scott, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Dave just got done coaching his spinning class, which is a favorite of everyone here at the club. And Dave, doesn't your dad even come to those spin classes? I've been in one or two, and
yeah.
Man, you give people a pretty good workout in there.
Well, when an 82-year-old guy is in there, it's not that hard. You know, everyone can kind of look like they're really working hard, but they fake it pretty well, including my dad. It's a fun class. I mean, I've done it for a number of years, and I don't run around in a leopard suit, and I don't have music going. I like music, and I'm not too keen on leopard suits, but
it's pretty serious in there.
It's kind of serious.
It's kind of serious, except for you. I mean, the workout is serious, but everyone's laughing under their breath.
Well, you got to add some levity. I mean, the room is dark. There's no music, no speedometer, no power meter, nothing. We're just using heart rate, and I sort of design around a yearly cycle. So all the people in there are all building up throughout the whole year in preparation for summer, even if they don't race. But I have to do it that way just because it makes logical sense to me, and it's fun.
And it's at 6 a.m.
Well, it's not at 6 a.m., but some of the people actually take a previous class until we start getting a little bit later on in the year where it gets a little more challenging. They double up on classes. So about March, when it gets a little more stiff in my class, they just come to mine. But it's 75 minutes, so it's a pretty good workout.
Yeah, we've seen you at quite a few of the races, the postseason now. You were in Kona. We saw you at Silverman also. What's your race schedule with traveling to races, and what's your involvement with triathlon right now? You've got your coaching business also. Did you have athletes who were at the races?
Yeah, at those races, obviously I didn't race, Lars. I'm still shaved down.
You had made quite a few of us look like puppets out there, though.
I don't think so, but thanks. Kona, I sort of launched my 207 business stuff at the expo, and still doing coaching. I'll say customized coaching for athletes. A lot of the coaching that I do is just tweaking people's programs. I mean, I get emails from people that say, "Oh, I'm doing such and such a half Ironman, or I've got such and such a run. Can you help me out? I'm kind of lost." And we've got 6 weeks or 12 weeks. So, I feel like sometimes I'm the doctor for a lot of athletes, and just sort of putting together a concise, quick program that they can follow. So I do a lot of that.
So people know, it's not only professionals, it's age groupers.
Oh, it's all levels. Yeah, the majority of them are age groupers. I do get some of the professionals that have had different coaches, and they say, I'm having an off year, I can't get it back to where I was before, I don't want to hire you full-time, but can you help me? And sure I can. But the majority of them are just amateurs, age groupers, all different levels.
So now are you traveling with the coaching also? I know you usually have some people who take over your spin classes. Oh yeah, Dave's out this week. Where do you travel, and what are you doing when you're out of town here?
Well, a lot of the travel and part of my business is doing weekend clinics, and so I seemingly have a lineup as I do every year, doing the weekend programs, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I've traveled to Wisconsin, Chicago, Boston. Did a short one down in Miami. I have one in Orange County in March, and so Triathlon Clubs is one of the groups that I work with. They just call me and say, "Hey, can you set up a program for our group? Can you come down here?" And I like doing those programs because they're in and out, but they're pretty comprehensive. I meet with them Friday. We have all day Saturday and all day Sunday, and I can customize them any way to fit the group's needs. So they're a lot of fun. So I advertise that on my website, and people can just call me. I've got dates that are open, so it's wide open.
One thing that a lot of people don't see is you're out here on the pool deck almost every single day, at least 3 times a week with the athletes who you coach, master swimming groups, and you're involved with the club. You wake up early on Wednesday mornings for track workouts. You're still very much involved in the sport on a personal basis also, and that's pretty cool. You don't have to do that.
The money certainly isn't good, Lars, so I don't know why I do that. I get up early in the morning and drag myself out here.
What is it about triathlon that's kept you involved for so long?
Well, I like the hands-on. My roots were actually coaching. I started coaching before I was a triathlete, and I actually started teaching swimming when I was 15. I started coaching a master's group when I was 19. And having the opportunity just to see people on a daily basis, see their eyes and say, "Gee, you look kind of tired today," or look at their stroke or their running stride and say, "Let's see if we can change this with our hands or your feet or your neck or whatever it is." I like doing those subtle things, and having my regular group in Boulder is fun. I also get drop-in people. People come from around the country that like Boulder, as you know, and they just say, hey, can we join your group for a week or a day? And I welcome outsiders to come.
Before we get into the podcast, do you guys ever have the Scott family powwows? Your sister Jane she throws in some pretty brutal workouts, and Bob, I'm sure he throws in his 2 cents. Do they keep you?
Well, Jane is I swim with Jane's class, so she kind of knows my workout mentality and psychology. I mean, I don't like to dawdle around. I just like to get in there and usually do one main big set, and to a fault, I seem to like to do a similar type of workout without really increasing my speed. Just make my endorphins feel good, so I get out of the water and I feel good about myself, so I don't clobber the rest of my athletes or club my kids at home. But I've been coming to Jane's workouts for a long time, and it's obviously convenient for me. And I like swimming outdoors. I just refuse to go inside. So, we're lucky to have Flatirons as a pool.
And the great thing about Jane is she treats us like swimmers, not triathlete swimmers. She tends to joke quite a bit to us triathletes.
There's no slack there from Jane, that's for sure.
Yeah, she doesn't give you an inch.
No, when she's had a brother who's been a triathlete for 30 years, she could care less.
Well, Dave, let's talk about the podcast that you're doing. You've launched a series of podcasts, and how are those going so far?
Well, I think very well. I mean, I don't really have a background in radio, and so I was sort of just thrown into doing a program with Accelerate, and not really trying to promote Accelerate, but really trying to cover the gamut of training preparation and also racing from a training and competitive standpoint, but also from a nutritional slant as well. So we've had 4 of them. The 4th one will actually be up real soon. And
who have you had on the show so far?
Well, I've had Simon Lessing for 2 of the shows, the first one and the third one. And we covered just general muscle fatigue. Why do people get tired? How do you overcome that? What can you do in training to compensate that? What can you do for your diet? The second one, I had a great guest, Davis Finney. He was a lot of fun to talk to. We actually talked about 2 days before the preparation, and he talked about what he would do in his major races, including the Tour de France. What he liked to do as far as exercise or not exercise, and it was very, very helpful.
So it's not directly at triathletes. It's endurance athletes. It's people who are active and want to continue to improve.
Yeah, it's the market that we're looking at is if we had a narrow scope and just looked at triathletes, that would be a mistake. And so, really the information is for endurance athletes and kind of, I'll say all levels, people that have at least immersed themselves in some type of endurance sport. The information has application. So, yeah, they're quite fun.
Who are the upcoming guests?
Well, my last guest is Dr. Robert Portman. He has written a couple of books and published a number of research papers on fluid replacement drinks and looking at the combination of carbohydrate and protein, looking at fat levels, and a really interesting guy. He has 2 books out called The Performance Zone and Nutrient Timing. So he'll be my last guest. Unfortunately, he lives across the country, so we're on via the phone and
rather than seeing your pretty mug on camera, right?
Well, just like you, Lars. I can't give Robert a kiss, afterwards. So
no, we're going to save that from you guys also.
Yeah.
But so now Robert's involved in endurance sports, and he's involved from a nutrition standpoint.
Well, I think that the information that he wants to provide is just primarily from a scientific side. He said this is what we've kind of looked at, and this is really what works with athletes in a laboratory. And I'll say I have a little bit of mix of both, or 3 sides. Being an older athlete and essentially experimenting with anything out there. I mean, we probably would have eaten marshmallows when I first started.
And
racing,
figs, right?
And figs.
The figs is what we all read about.
Well, those worked for me, but they sure blew out a lot of my competitors. When they gravitated to figs, that was a big mistake.
That was before porta potties, also.
So we had a lot of problems in those major races.
So, Dave, where can people find I'm not going to ask you how to download them onto your iPod, but where can people find these podcasts?
It's on a website, enduranceandandnutrition.com, and they can just go to that website. And we've also included some information charts that are really quite helpful in just looking at your fluid levels, looking at sodium intakes, looking at total calories, and you can kind of cross-reference that with your weight and your exercise workload. So just go to enduranceandnutrition.com.
And when can they look to download the interview from Mr. Portman?
The interview with Dr. Portman is Monday the 27th, and it's up and running by the end of the month. So it'll be just essentially December 1. We'll have all 4 of them on there, and they can download any of them at any time.
Well, Dave, great to see you. Thanks for
Lars,
joining us today.
My pleasure. Great.